Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
Road to the Rush back on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin. Jolly Good. We'll start off our show tonight, talking about Division I, Section 1, and we've been bullish on them all year, still are. Hortonville, I guess, first of all, any chinks in the armor that you guys see? They had a great win. They doubled down on Hudson 82-41. They beat Appleton West 82-25 and North 75-24. So haven't exactly been pushed as of yet, but anything you guys can see where perhaps Neenah can find something to score an upset this Thursday?
I personally don't see anything other than the fact that, the old adage is hard to beat a team 3 times. And, Coach Brunell, a great coach, always going to have something in his back pocket when it comes to switching up things defensively. So can you roll something out there and catch, a young Randy Wilson in something, that maybe she hasn't seen before, and kind of keep her off her game a little bit?
Obviously, Zabel comes in with a 33-point half in the last game, when they beat Wausau West. And, sometimes one player can, catch fire. But, I think no matter the adjustments, and I think this is obviously 2 very, very good coaches, you have intangibles. I think Hortonville's defense is so good. They create, baskets off their press. Big time game. Hortonville's played in them, and again, challenge themselves outside the conference. Again, are those others, is Zabel going to get somebody, even if she got 40? I think this Hortonville team's going to find a way to get to 70 some way, somehow, especially with 2 seniors like Lyric Johnson and Cammie Pepler, wanting to finish things out. You could tell they weren't that phased of winning against Appleton East when we had that game at the end of the regular season. Their sights are set on something bigger.
Hortonville predicates themselves on offense. What's going to happen in a close, tight game? We haven't seen that. When everything is, their focus is offense, we're going to outscore you. We're going to out-execute you, and they do that very, very well. And they've done that against some top-quality teams. We haven't seen them in a close game. What happens if it's, they're up 2 on defense? What do they do? How do they respond to that?
Well, hey, let's move on. Superior, Appleton East. Superior comes in 20-4. Their only loss in the state of Wisconsin was to Rice Lake, who, by the way, is playing in the sectionals this week and the number 1 seed. In Minnesota, they lost to Proctor by 4. Proctor's 18-8. They lost to Esco by 2. Esco's 20-3, and they lost to Grand Rapids by 3. And Grand Rapids is 23-3. That game is being played at Eau Claire Memorial. So first and foremost, Coach LaChapelle and the crew got a long drive ahead of them.
I talked to Coach LaChapelle on Sunday, and I think Superior also has a pretty long drive too.
Yeah.
So, I kind of looking at Superior a little bit because I think we know, Appleton East, they're going to have outputs like they did the other night. They've got 2 kids who can score the ball in Savannah Leopold and Emma Ray. Emma Ray had 22 points, got to the free throw line 12 of 14 times. Leopold's made 43s, Ray's made 64. If they're going to have a chance to beat Appleton East, I think you're going to have those 2 kids really be able to knock down threes. And again, that's been the one thing that's kind of hurt Appleton East at times is their defense is been effect. In the games that they've lost. Obviously, take out the Hopkins game, which was more of a game they lost in transition. But I think both of the Hortonville games, and Connor and I saw that one when they're up 22-7, and in the first 5 minutes, and then they're down 7 by halftime. Emily LaChapelle is going to show up. I don't think any of us question that. What are they going to get from Sammy Byer? What are they going to get from Lily Hansford? She needs to be solid.
Let's move over to Sectional 2. Coach, we'll start with you, Coach Rowie. Germantown, Kaukauna. You saw Germantown play. They got pushed a little bit by Hartford. They ended up running, kind of walking away with it at the end. But it was touch and go there for a while.
It was, and that was, I don't want to say unexpected, because Coach Vinny Daniels was an assistant under Coach Stuvey, so he knew what he was getting into when they took on Germantown, and They came out and executed in that first half very, very well. We had 5 ties, 10 lead changes in that first half, a 42-40 score at half. I mean, it was a close game. And then even into 3 minutes into that second half, and you always talk about those first 4 minutes of the second half being so big, and it was still pretty tight. And a corner 3 rolled around and off. Looked like it was going down, and it rolled off for Hartford. Germantown got the rebound, kicked it up ahead. They hit a 3. So that 6-point swing, it was like the air was let out of the balloon. You could just see it on Hartford's bench. And after that, it was just all Germantown.
And take it on a Kaukauna Ghost team. Kaukauna coming in 19-7, lost to Martin Luther, Appleton East, Hortonville. They did lose to Kimberly earlier this year. That was in December. Another loss to Hortonville, another loss to Appleton East, and a loss to Neenah. So 19-7, good wins, but losses against obviously really good teams. Coach, what do you expect, from Germantown as they, head up to Hartford? Any changes from kind of what they've been doing? Do you see any? Lucy Leininger obviously had a great game Saturday night for Germantown. It looks like her role continues to just increase on that team. What do you see from a kind of a team dynamic standpoint? What's going to be important for Germantown Thursday night against Kaukauna?
Well, first thing is they're not going to change anything. They are going to pressure and continue to pressure, and they will do that. We even talked about it on air the other night. Are they going to change it up? It was posed as a question, and we said no. They're going to keep doing what Germantown does, even though the game was going back and forth and so close. No, they're going to keep pushing it. And, you look at that score, it was only a 13-point victory over King. But from everything I was told, Kaukauna was in control of that thing from tip to buzzer. The score does not really show how well the Ghosts played. And, you said they have 7 losses. Those are 7 quality opponents that they've
Right.
lost to. So I think Germantown's in for a little bit of a battle. I don't think there's any question. This is not a typical 5 seed. I think this is a very strong 5 seed. But I do think Germantown, in the end is the better team. Now, will that play out on Thursday? I guess we'll see. But they are not going to change what they do and how they do things.
We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Road to the RESCH on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
Looking at the peer in the regional round, they played the 2 Sheboygans, so 2 conference opponents. But mentioned it before, it's a team that's kind of, they've been looking at, this is a game that could get them in trouble a little bit, in that they've kind of been looking ahead to a potential rematch against Germantown from the Kettle Moraine tournament in the beginning of the year. And obviously a kind of a resurgent and upstart Dashers team, but De Pere is going to play 4 seniors, and then they have 2 seniors on the bench that enjoy their role and they know what it is and they fully embrace it. And then they've got a sophomore in Claire Bjorgi that loves her seniors, and we've always said it, that's dangerous this time of year. So it looks 2-7, but that 7 seed's always dangerous. I really like De Pere in this one, getting the rematch on Saturday against Germantown.
Well, Ed, you and I were very surprised, I think. But although I think somebody said on the show last week that you could never count out the Dashers, and I talked to Coach Hendricks right after the game, and he had listened to that and loved it. But they've won 6 in a row, and again, momentum's a funny thing. But we talked about Homestead, and Homestead obviously a very good team, but very young. That's not going to be the case with De Pere. I think they're going to have their hands full with a really solid Redbirds team.
Well, yeah, DSHA has been playing really, really well, and you got it. When you get to this point in the season, you need contributions from everybody. You can't just rely on that one. Allie Tim did her thing on Saturday night, scored 16, 8 for 9 from the free throw line. I mean, you don't want to say you expect that, but you kind of do from Allie,
Right.
knowing who she is. But it was Meg Dorrington, who averaged less than 3 points a game, who came off the bench to score 10. And I think when you get contributions like that, when you don't expect them, that's when you can pull off an upset. And that's how DSHA did it on Saturday.
Well, we'll see if they can keep that momentum going Thursday against De Pere. Let's move over to Sectional 3 and 4. First of all, in Sectional 3, Brookfield East Waunakee. Coach Sip, let's talk first of all Verona Waunakee. I'll be honest, I expected it to be a closer game. I actually thought that Verona was going to win, but Waunakee came in and said, we're pretty good too. And Lauren Might and the crew had a really nice game Saturday and moved on. Thoughts on their their momentum coming into playing the number 1 seed Brookfield East?
Well, I think mid-season when they were playing their best basketball, they were getting a great contribution from Kylie Grabarski from the 3-point line. And she was their leading scorer. She hit 6 threes on Saturday, and they changed it up defensively. So, I think all year we've seen them in that run and jump, and they kept it kind of close in the vest. They've been working on it. And again, holding people down, obviously, I think we were shocked. I think he probably felt the same way we did, that they might be able to exploit that, just with the basketball IQ, the Verona kids have, and to hold them down, that score, I think, shocked all of us. But they also got a great, I think funneling everything to Ashley Sawicki inside is huge. I think she's just been playing better and better, kind of holding the paint down. And again, they held Verona scoreless for the first over 6 minutes of the second half. After Verona had gotten back into the game. Kind of a gain of runs in the first half, 11-2 to start. Verona came back and got it tied. But Sawicki had 17, Grabarski had 6, and Lauren Might, I think, again, was in double figures, but was really evident up front in their pressure defense. So again, I think it's something there, we know what we're going to get from Shea Kelly. She had 19 on Saturday. And
it's a really good team that's really, all season they continue to get better and better and better. And now that we've officially hit March, they are a team that's been building for this all season. But the key the last 3 to 4 weeks has been Shea Kelly finding her scoring. She was averaging about 8 or 9 but she was running the show. That was her focus, running the show, getting Pleamer, McGath, getting everybody involved. But then in the last 6 or 7 games, she's been averaging over 19 points a game, and that's been a big difference. But you just look at that score in that Brook East Oconomowoc game. I mean, they are predicated on defense. They are in your face defensively. They don't have that massive shot block or anything like that, but they are going to make things really tough for you. I think getting Adriana Alberts back this season has really changed the defensive outlook.
Yeah, well, I think this game 1st to 40 probably wins. Bottom half of the bracket, Sip. You got to give a mea culpa here, picking the Lady Goslings on the upset, and Sun Prairie came away with a win. I guess before we get started, I want to send a special shout out to Avery Anthony from Sun Prairie. Unfortunately, got injured in the game Saturday, and Avery, thinking about you, kiddo. Love you, and look forward to seeing you soon. But what does that do to the complexion of this team, Sip, for Sun Prairie as they go to battle a really, really strong Arrowhead team at Verona?
Yeah, I think it just, I think she's always able to get them kind of settled in, even as, obviously they have the 4 really good juniors, and, Avery, Antonique Austin, obviously Marie Outlay, and then Mariah Hawk. I think she's able to kind of balance the highs and lows of that team. And I think, we know we're going to see different defenses, from Arrowhead. It really puts more on, I think it puts more on Hawk having to score inside, and definitely a little bit more, what are Marie Outlay and what are, Antonique Austin do. I think first and foremost, it takes their best defender out.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that, they've been able to do all year is just put Avery on the other team's best player. And, whether it's, Audrey Deptula from Middleton or, Aaliyah Smith from La Follette, and she's kind of been, the Draymond Green of that team. And, again, I think seeing, watching the Arrowhead game, and you may mention this, can Bella Sam step up. She has 22, against La Follette. They hold, Aaliyah Smith to 6 points. Harper has back-to-back games of, 28 and 23. So she seems like she's back 100%. So again, I think, Sun Prairie is going to have to be able to score against different defenses, because we know, it's with Arrowhead, Coach Whitty's going to change things up and make you have to figure it out.
Well, the other thing, and Ed, I like your comment on this, because I think it's a really important part of this game coming up. Arrowhead does a really good gritty. I mean, they looked really good on social with that gritty, and the parents were just killing it on that gritty. So if I'm Sun Prairie, I gotta figure out a way to kind of top that. So I guess we'll see. But I was really impressed with the gritty on Saturday.
I will not comment on any dancing. But I will comment on how strong Arrowhead has played all season long. I mean, 21-4, their 4 losses, 2 of them to KM, who's a 1 seed, 1 to Germantown, who's a 1 seed, 1 to Brook East, who's a 1 seed. Brook East, they were up late, went 13. To triple overtime in a W7 classic. Same thing against Germantown, up 14, lost that late. So those 2 losses, and lost to KM in a back and forth affair by 2 in that second loss. So this is a team that's just a couple of plays, a deflection, a block shot, a rebound away for having 1 loss on the season. And even that 1 other loss to KM was by 9. This is a team that's very, very dangerous for a 2 seed. I mean, I know we're getting late enough into the season that the seedings don't matter as much. But Sun Prairie, I think they realize this is going to be a challenge.
Moving over to the other side of the bracket, Kettle Moraine and Janesville Craig. Coach Rowie, we talked about this as a potential, a possible tripping point here for KM. Craig won in overtime against Kenosha Bradford. KM destroyed Racine Case 83-27. This game at Waukesha South, it's kind of it's at Waukesha South. It's a 1:00 start on Saturday. Does Craig have the opportunity to pull the upset here?
If you're asking me, no. I think this is KM. This is Coach Hansen has been waiting for this all his coaching career. I think this is a group that he's got. They're not Thursday. They're not tripping Thursday. They're not tripping up. They're just not going to. The focus that squad has, and this is a veteran group that's been through the wars. This is a group that's ready for these big games. And it's a heck of a drive, let alone, the game itself. But Janesville Craig's got a pretty healthy drive to get there. KM, it's, jump on the bus and you're there in a blink. So I think, and people don't think about things like that, but that does play into things. And I just think this is a KM game.
Sip, does that 2-3 zone that Craig plays and with Kate Hummel and the crew, I mean, do they have a chance to slow down this KM, high potent offense?
Yeah, it's interesting because they've played it all year long, but I think as we mentioned in the show on Saturday, we did see them play some man-to-man. I don't think man-to-man helps them in this game.
No.
You will get the ball, Grace Grahowski will get the ball inside and destroy them, and they'll be able to rebound. So, again, it's a big 3 versus a big 3 in a lot of ways, obviously with Grahowski, Torres, and Rangard. But, again, I think that's a more seasoned big 3. I think Hummel's a really good player, going to do great things for Coach Fisher at Oshkosh. And Magestro Kennedy's going to play, at IUPUI, and then Nicholson's third. They can score it. I just am curious because I think they're going to, we've seen KM enough to say they're going to put Braylon Torres on Katie Hummel and try to limit that.
Yeah.
Guard will do a good job. I think on Magestro Kennedy. I think Grahowski, again, as what she's done all year, that consistency. I think it's, as well as Craig has played, I think it's a bad matchup. I think it's a bad matchup for Janesville Craig. And again, I think that they could get away with it. The Big 8 as a whole doesn't have a player you can sit there that's similar to Grace that you could say to see how they played against it. And I think no matter if they play man or zone, she's going to have some opportunities to really pick it apart.
Last game of the Division 1 Sectional 4 is Franklin and Oak Creek, which is Ed. Let's go to you on this one. I mean, this is This is as good as it gets in the Milwaukee area for this kind of matchup. I mean, this is a dream matchup for all of us.
This is a rivalry game that is going to have Franklin showing up. They're 12-2 in conference. Who are their 2 losses? Oak Creek. We've talked about Oak Creek. They've won 125 straight in the conference. We could throw out the numbers, 9 straight conference titles. But Franklin, we love Coach Lucknick, but there's something about this game that just has a little different feel. Just a little different feel that just gives Franklin that puncher's chance.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think they'll be ready. Again, just like we talked about last week, I think it's a lot on Mo's shoulders. She's going to have a big game Thursday, as well as Taylor Rosinski. So we'll see what happens. I'm pretty sure that Valentina Shehu and Paulina Hernandez and the Knights will be ready and able to put up a good show for us. So really excited to see what's going to happen on that one. So that's your Division 1 preview. We're going to take a quick break, come back, talk D2. You're watching Road to the RESCH on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
Welcome back. Road to the RESCH on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. Time to get into Division 2 to talk Notre Dame and a big matchup they've got this Thursday, and we'll bring in our Notre Dame expert, Connor DuBois.
Notre Dame's first, though. They're going to have to make the short trip down the road to Green Bay Southwest and Fox Valley Lutheran. The Foxes coming up out of the Valley. Nice kind of come from behind win for the Foxes over West Lapeer. I think a lot of people expected West Lapeer to win that game, and they led most of the game. But West Lapeer went on basically a scoring drought from the 8-minute mark down to the 2.5-minute mark, where they only got 1 bucket from the field, and the Foxes were able to kind of chip their way back into the game. Emily Yankee Jr. Saw her a couple times this year. Most recently when they played Wrightstown, and she's just a walking bucket when she walks into the gym. Really smooth shot and can get to the rack with ease. So it'll be interesting to see who Notre Dame matches up with on her. But I think somebody like Gresh would match up really well with her. But then I also know if Gresh gets in foul trouble, can other kids step up for Notre Dame? Notre Dame comes in winners of their last 24. Their only loss was back to Appleton East way back on the when was that? Back on the 23rd of November. So long winning streak coming in. 4 kids that average double-figure points. Most recently, Gracie Gresh, the sophomore, getting 31 the other night in the regional final win. I just think the pressure of Notre Dame is going to be too much for FVL to handle. I just don't. It's hard to practice against because you don't have 4 or 5 kids out there that are all 6 foot plus wingspans to go against them with the athleticism that Notre Dame has. So it's hard to practice against that. And sometimes I think you get into the game and you're down 15 or 20 before you even know really what hits you.
Right. Hey, Connor, thanks for taking the time. I know you got to get going. Appreciate it. And have fun Thursday with Notre Dame and FVL. Should be a fun one tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Connor DuBois on the W7 live stream here. Let's get into the other game in Division 2, Beaver Dam and Cedarburg. Cedarburg held off Slinger 63-55. Beaver Dam took care of Grafton 60-43. Sip, your thoughts on this Beaver Dam team is that it's a 1 versus 2 with Cedarburg.
Yeah, I mean, Beaver Dam played earlier in the day as did Cedarburg and Slinger, and again, you had mentioned it. They got great production from Gabby Wilkie. She had 17. Coach Chase is going to have a lot of different things in store that people have not seen when you get to from any film you've seen of Beaver Dam. And it might be trapping from different spots on the floor. It might be, what they do offensively, some things that they have saved. And again, I just think that experience they have, they were able, Sattel also had 15, in the win against Grafton. When you look at the Cedarburg Slinger game, Cedarburg jumped on them early, was up 17 at halftime. When you look at the box score, I just don't see, when you have 45 of your points coming from two players, as Cedarburg did. I just don't think Coach Chase is going to let that happen. He's not going to let one person beat them. And again, it's a tribute to Reagan Paul. Had 21 points, hit 5 threes, and on the other side of it, her teammate, Claire Diener had 24 and hit 3 threes. So again, I think Beaver Dam plays that schedule early on, gets outside of the Badger Conference. I think losing, not winning the conference title, for the second year in a row with Reedsburg taking it, they've got something still to prove. And again, another team out of the Badger Conference, it's the third one so far. We've still got 2 more to talk about. So again, I do think Beaver Dam will move on in this matchup.
Hey, quick break. You're watching Road to the Resch on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
We got our resident D3 expert, Connor Du Bois, in the house. Connor, let's talk about some of these matchups in D3. What do you got?
Well, I mean, obviously, Freedom Xavier used to be old conference rivals, and they kind of split apart. Now back playing in the sectional round. I think it's going to be really interesting because Xavier could have maybe, Xavier comes in where Sammy Buss, their best player, was coming back from ACL injury. So she comes back halfway through the year. This team's kind of been completely different. Came back, won the Bay. But I really think, though, Freedom, just a little too much, especially inside with a kid like Megan Alexander. And they just, it's a team that's really, really loose, but Coach Vanderlip gets him locked in for game time, and I see Freedom in a closer than what people might think, pulling this one and advancing on to Saturday's sectional final, which I think right now it's scheduled at Brillion. So going down to the bottom half of that, Brillion and Kiel, they split in the regular season. Kiel won the first one. Brillion won the second one in a 14-point affair. Maya Emmer, everything for Brilliant kind of goes through her. She can score it at all 3 levels. Does Brilliant come out on top of that one? Maybe, but I'm going to go with this one, kind of my upset, and I'm going to take Kiel over Brilliant to face Freedom for the chance to go to state.
Man, we're giving Brilliant no respect whatsoever. Last week we said that Oostburg would beat them. They didn't. Now we're saying Kiel's going to beat them. So, Brilliant, prove us wrong again. I think they'll be more than happy to do that. So that's those 2 games in Division 3. I want to skip over to a couple other to another game in Division 3, and this is going to be in Sectional 3, Columbus and Madison Edgewood. Speaking of passed over, we passed over the Columbus Crazies last week. Thought Prairie du Chien would take care of them. Nope. In 2 overtimes, Columbus 65, Prairie du Chien 58, and they're taking on a Madison Edgewood team. Sip, Edgewood defeated Edgerton 56-41. What are your thoughts on that one coming into a 3-5 matchup, which is kind of a surprise?
Yeah, when we talked about it on Saturday, we felt like that first game, versus Richland Center, maybe got them refocused and got Coach Staub, got their attention. And obviously they played well. And again, that's a team that plays Division II and Division I teams all year long, and is in the Division III bracket. So again, I think Edgewood comes in feeling like that they can beat anybody on that side of the bracket. And obviously, Coach Staub understands how to prepare each weekend as you move forward, and winning the state championship in 2016. So again, I feel that I think Edgewood has a really good opportunity to go to Lodi, and again, now they're the favorite. But again, I think that they're not going to do a lot of things to beat themselves, and so again, I think they bounce back and obviously handled Edgerton pretty easily, and I think they'll move forward.
Well, and I think if you're Columbus, you're playing the no respect card, right? I mean, if you look at their schedule, they're 18-8. Some of their wins included, they lost by 13 to Randolph in Division 5. But they did beat Poignette, which advanced last week. They lost twice to Lake Mills. They did beat Platteville 60-55. That was on February 25th. So they've won, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. Also win over Belleville and Lakeside Lutheran. So some nice wins in there, and we'll see if they can continue that Thursday against a pretty solid Madison Edgewood team. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and come back, continue on with Road to the RESCH on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
W7 back. Road to the RESCH on W7, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We are back talking Division 2, and we're going to go straight into sectionals 3 and 4. Reedsburg and DeForest. First of all, Coach, Reedsburg put up 104 points Saturday. I know there was some jawing back and forth on some of that. I mean, to me, this is playoff time, and you got to do what you got to do to move on. And if Coach Simon felt he needed to do that, then I don't think you can hold that against him. But and no shame on a really tough McFarland team. McFarland scored 77 points, and people are like, well, hey, they were pressing with 4 minutes left. Yeah, it's the postseason. That's what they're gonna do. As Herman Edwards would say, you play to win the game. This isn't hey, you tried, let's just mail it in the rest of the way. So I think I'm on both teams' side. They should always give it all here, because you can't leave anything in the tank right now.
Yeah, and if you're going to press, you got to understand you're pressing most likely to try to score off of it, or if you're in the press offense, you're trying to score. And when you look at the numbers and see again, that Coach Simon did take the starters out around the 4-minute mark, and Mara Weeman still had 39, and Sydney Cherney had 17, and Trina had 15, and Mackenzie Bester had 10. So again, they're going to get great shots. They're going to be unselfish. Hats off. Obviously, we talked about Macy Weeman, guarded, and Tegan Mullane still got into the 30s. So again, I think all the different styles that Reedsburg is going to see, they're going to see. DeForest is a team that presses as well, and obviously they took down a Monona Grove team that again, when they played them the first time, again, another Badger Conference battle. I think with DeForest, again, they've already played Reedsburg once. It was early, and right now it was about as close a game as Reedsburg's had, especially in the conference. It was 66-52. Reedsburg won. It was at Reedsburg, but I think the biggest change you see with DeForest right now is they've gotten Jalen Derline back. She missed 12 games in the middle of the season.
That's huge. Yeah.
Fourth back, and and she goes for 21 and 17 in the 2 nights back to back. Rylan Oberg had 23 in the game against Monona Grove. So I think this game comes down to in the first game, when they played, Oberg had 5, Derlane had 9. They didn't have a double-figure score against Reedsburg. You figure out one of those is probably going to be locked up with Macy Weirman. So again, they shot 6 for 18. They are going to have to make more than 6 threes to have a chance, I think, against Reedsburg. But I just think Reedsburg's too balanced. They can beat you in so many different ways. They can bring people off the bench, and make plays. Obviously, we mentioned there's 4, double-figure scorers right there, and again, that's I think you're not talking about Dietz, who can come in off the bench and knock down threes right away. So again, I just think there's too much firepower on the Reedsburg side.
Moving down to Union Grove and Waukesha West. This is actually a rematch. These two teams played November 19th. Union Grove won that 53-44, and Union Grove coming in, I believe, 24-2. Now, I would say that their schedule has been a little bit lighter than what probably West has, but there are 2 losses: New Berlin Eisenhower on November 23rd and New Berlin West on December 18th. They haven't lost since before Christmas. So let's see, 2, 3, 5, almost over 15 in a row. When they played on November 19th, again, obviously really early in the season, 22 points for Sophia Rampula and 13 for Emmy Pettit. Nevaeh Thompson led West with 12. Ed, thoughts on West had a really nice game Saturday, and they've got good momentum coming in here, but this could be a really fun one Thursday night.
Absolutely. Waukesha West has won 8 in a row, 9 of 10. It's a team that's really coming together. 19-7, but I don't think it gives the team enough credit. They lost some ugly ones early in the year where they kind of looked at each other and they realized they needed to regroup, and they did, and they've been playing really strong lately. And it starts with the ball being in the hands of Ashlyn Yao. The Denver commit's been really solid the last month or so, where she has just limited all turnovers, and she is running the offense for Waukesha West to make sure everything goes through her, getting everybody set up properly with Caden Crone and Maddie Anderson. But we've mentioned 3 names so far, yet the leading scorer is Nevaeh Thompson.
Right.
It's a team that's very balanced. It's a very balanced team with 7 players averaging 6 or more. So, you get into a close battle, who are you going to shut down? Well, the ball's going to be in Ashlyn's hands, and now she can look to score, or she'll distribute to the proper wide open player.
And then sliding over to the side of the bracket on the bottom side, Pewaukee and New Berlin Eisenhower. Pewaukee 73-58 over New Berlin West. New Berlin Eisenhower 50-17 over South Milwaukee, which I gotta say I was really, really surprised that the score was number 1 so lopsided, but number 2 that they locked down South Milwaukee to 17 points. Now I will say Meyer back for New Berlin Eisenhower has given a big boost to that team right now, and I think they're playing some really solid basketball right now.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Sip. No, go ahead.
I just, again, get Meyer back, and then if Bryn Furstenberg has 27, I think there's that sense of urgency from the senior, and you look at these 2 games, and again, I thought we looked at the scores the first 2 times they played Pewaukee, and Pewaukee beat them, at Ike by 20 in early January. Now that was when New Berlin Eisenhower hadn't practiced, after Christmas and everything. But then they beat them by 31 in February, back at Pewaukee. So, Eisenhower, a little bit Jekyll and Hyde we've seen all year,
Yeah.
Look, and, it's just amazing to me because, again, I think, we've seen, Bogowski be unbelievable in games, unbelievable against Kettle Moraine. And, they get her, Meyer, and Furstenberg all on that same level. You don't understand how those scores could happen. But Coach, I'll let you take it from there.
No, it's a really strong team. It's again, like we've said so many times throughout this, that's really starting to play well together. But to your point, the Jekyll and Hyde, they've got to be careful. You're at that point in the season where if you even for a half really you lose it, you're losing that game because you can't go long stretches, and they have a propensity to do that.
And then thoughts on Pewaukee, Ed? I mean, you've seen them probably more than any of us this year. Again, we could take the rest of the show just talking about that team. I mean, there's, between the Terrians and Sarah Newcomer, I mean, there's a lot of talent in this group.
Absolutely. And they've challenged themselves all year long with their non-conference schedule, as you would expect Coach Reuter to do. You talk about the Terrians, the two freshmen, they come out, they look the same. They play very similar. Amy led the team in scoring at 16-1. Sarah Newcomer, a senior, averaged 16 a game, so that you get, again, that balance. And then you got, the dirt rat, the one that gets in the middle of everything, Megan Zilsdorf. I mean, she's everywhere on the floor. She and Leah Chudzik are just everywhere. And when you have players like that just get dirty, get on the floor at any chance, that's the energy that's constantly there for a Pewaukee team.
The Dirt Rat. I like it. That's a good one. We're going to have you come up with some more nicknames here. I like it. Top half of the bracket, Pius and Whitefish Bay. We called Wauwatosa West as the upset alert over Whitefish Bay. That didn't happen. 64-47. Bay to wins that. Pius defeated Wisconsin Lutheran 74-57. And I'm not trying to be a Bay hater, but I'm really solid on Pius right now. The way they're playing, I got to believe that that's going to be a really, really tough draw for the Dukes Thursday against a really solid Pius team.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge for Whitefish Bay, and we did stress that we thought Tosa West was going to knock them off. And a credit to them, because every time Tosa West made a run, they had an answer. Every single time they had an answer. And I think the lead was double digits the entire game, basically. So credit to them. Going to be a lot different this week, although one saving grace is Pius is not a big offensive team. These are two teams that their focus is defense. And when you have that, maybe you stick around for a little while and you look up and all of a sudden there's 6 minutes left. You're only down 4. And then the expectations of Pius, they look around and they go, hey, we're only up 4. What's going on here? You never know. That's what happens when you get to March. But I have to agree with you. I think it's going to be really challenging for the Dukes to pull out this one. I think it's going to be Pius all the way.
I think, Pius hasn't lost since the 14th of December. That's a long time. And you've got seniors, and I think it's very interesting and not, obviously showing the strength of the North Shore, but give Whitefish Bay credit finishing 6th, in the conference, and they end up with that, with that 2 seed. Again, I just think, again, and Ed, you mentioned this, Maya Moore's been playing like a senior who's on her kind of last run here, 24-10, in the game the other night against Wisconsin Lutheran. So, but yeah, Pius seems to be more locked in.
A quick break. We're going to come back and wrap up, get the rest of Division 3, and then hit 4 and 5 and let you get out of here. You're watching Road to the RESCH on W7. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
W7 back, Road to the RESCH, presented by Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin, Jolly Good. And we're going to skip back over to Division 3 and talk Waupun, Kewaskum, third matchup of the year this year. I mean, Sip, thoughts on this one? It should be an interesting one Thursday night.
Yeah, Waupun's won both matchups at Kewaskum, by 22 early in January, a little closer game at Waupun. On February 11th, they won by 14. But I think you have a senior, an outstanding player, in Abby Alsma playing her best basketball. She had 32 in the game on Saturday, and the night train, Kale Peterson had 21. So again, Kewaskum's had a really good year, played really well to beat Wisconsin Lutheran Prep, but I just think Waupun, again, so many different options. Obviously, Naomi Alsma, another senior. They bring Lydia off the bench, Gracie Gopalin, they can just beat you in so many ways. And again, I just think there's too much firepower. Dogs has got to have a great game.
Yeah.
And again, talk about beating them 3 times, but really, unless it gets to be a close game, and I think Waupون's learned from the close games that they've had. Obviously, losing to Verona and losing to, you're gonna have to help me with the
Notre
game that they
Dame,
were up.
Notre Dame, and Kettlebury and Lutheran.
Yeah, those games. So
Peterson didn't play in the KML game, by the way.
So again, she just changes the game on the defensive end, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, Corey Doggs is going to be super, super happy to see you picking Waupun to win that. He said, whatever you do, don't pick Kewaskum, considering your guys' track record last Saturday. So, Corey, just for you, bud, go Waupun. Whatever we can do to help, right, guys? That's what we're all about. Let's move down to Division 4. Let me pull that up. I don't really know sections 1 and 2. On 2, I know St. Mary Catholic playing Bonduel. Bonduel, I thought they would get past Crandon, and then Shiocton. I thought Shiocton would give them a tougher game than they did. Bonduel won that 83-46. St. Mary Catholic beat a team, Oconto, that only lost once this year, 66-55. So don't really know the dynamics of that one, but we should expect a really good game there. That game's being played at Crivets Thursday night at 7. Moving over to sectional 3 and 4, Mineral Point. Coach, we talked about this. We thought that they would fare okay with Lancaster. They won that 57-46, and then Aquinas got a scare. When we called this, we thought that Cuba City might pose a problem for the for Aquinas. It was 55-54. Aquinas was able to squeak that one out, and now goes to play Mineral Point. That game's at Richland Center.
Yeah, no question. And again, you look at it two ways. Is it, kind of like the Edgewood game? Does it make it a little bit more of an intensity factor? I just maybe wakes them up a little bit more. I just think Mineral Point, and again, both teams have great experience making, state tournament championship runs. I just don't, Aquinas isn't as good as they have been the last couple years. But again, it's just a different style. I think Mineral Point is again, just, they're not going to beat themselves.
Yeah.
Aquinas that from an offensive standpoint. And again, I think it's got to take an unbelievable game from the Aquinas guards to be able to take out Mineral Point.
And then,
having said that about Aquinas, hold on, Gary.
Yeah, go ahead.
Said that about Aquinas. 4 losses, 2, 1 to Minnesota team, 1 to an Iowa team, Germantown, Prairie du Chien. Those are some, it's a strong schedule again.
Yeah.
So don't count Aquinas out. I'm not saying, that they're going to beat Mineral Point. I'm saying this could be a lot better game than I think they got, like you said, Coach. There you got their wake-up call against Cuba City, squeaking that one out. They found a way to win. We'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, and I think with that time right there, Coach Donarski obviously does it at such a high level. He's going to have their attention. And, again, how can they score against, the different ways he plays the 1-3-1? Again, how many times has Mineral Point seen something like that? They've got the week to work on it. Again, they're not going to be able to simulate it in the same way.
Bottom half of that bracket, it's a number 5 versus a number 3. The 1 and 2 both knocked out. New Glarus, the number 5, knocking off Broadhead 61-47, and Partyville with a 44-42 win over Belleville. Should be a really fun, interesting matchup at Marquez on Thursday as well. And then on the other side, Laconia was able to get the big win over Manitowoc Lutheran, 61-31 with that win. So they've got great momentum coming in against St. Mary's Spring, 66-59. Coach Sip, we've seen that Laconia team a couple times, and if they can keep playing at the level they're playing, I think they're going to still be a tough out the rest of the way.
Yeah, no question. That's such an impressive, again, game defensively. I don't care who you're playing. When you hold somebody to 31 points, you're going to put yourself in a chance to win, and obviously almost doubling up, Manitowoc Lutheran. So again, it's a team that is younger. But I think with youth, you get a little bit now more of that. They're starting to believe that they can continue this and embrace that part of having that number one seed. So again, it's good. Obviously, we saw them when they didn't play their best, and it's good to see a team when it matters most playing their best basketball of the year.
And Ed, you talked about this, with a player coming off the bench and having a big night. I mean, Molly Johannes had 16 points for Laconia, averages far less than that. Ava Engel with 14 points. So, I mean, they got some contributions. The Madigan kid's always going to get you double-digit. Tierney got 10, but 16 from Johannes and 14 from Engel is really nice for Laconia, and looking forward to see what they can do Thursday night as well. Last game, Lake Mills and Martin Luther. To me, that's a pick'em game. But although I really like Martin Luther a lot, and I really like obviously Coach Shield a lot, and I feel like that team, they're taking Lake Mills the number 1 seed, Martin Luther number 2 seed. I have a hard time going against Corey Shield.
Yeah, we've covered Coach Corey for a couple of years now, and every time we watch his teams play, we see something different. We see something that kind of opens our eyes. So can you imagine trying to coach against that? Because if we see it, obviously the coaches pick up on that. And again, it's always going to be something different. He's always going to have something different to bring to the match, no matter what it is. He's going to bring something you have not seen.
Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, they've played a really tough schedule this year. I mean, they've played up a lot of games. I'm just looking here at their schedule this year. We saw them in the Kettle Moraine tournament at the beginning of the year. Just looking at their schedule this year, lost to Union Grove, lost to South Milwaukee, beat Kaukauna. We saw that at the KM tournament, 66-63. Kaukauna, a D1 team, obviously. They beat Lake Mills 58-52 on December 14th. So it'll be a rematch there. Let me just look at the numbers from that game. 15 points for Jenna Hosey for Lake Mills, and 18 points for Ava Hoppert from Martin Luther, 14 points from Julia Locker. Julia Locker has been a really nice addition to this Luther team this year. Ironically, her sister plays for Greendale. Julia transferred over to Martin Luther this last year, and they played against each other earlier in the year. We did that game on W7, but Julia is a really, really nice player. So we'll see what comes out of that. Hey, quick break, come back. D4 and D5 still to come. You're watching Road to the RESCH on W7.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
W7, we are back. Road to the RESCH. We're going to finish up Division 4 and then head straight into Division 5. Coach Zip, we talked about this last Saturday with Milwaukee Academy of Science scoring 95 points against Palmyra Eagle, and your concern was, can they keep up that kind of momentum, that kind of offense the next night? They could not. They lost 56-52 to a solid Racine Lutheran team.
Yeah, obviously, so far as we've seen in the tournament, the top, the highest ranked team, number 2 in Division 4 goes down. And again, I think that's the, hard part of playing on back-to-back nights when that's how you've played all season. And, obviously great year for Milwaukee Academy of Science, but give Racine Lutheran credit. They obviously played more of a tempo they wanted to. And, now they get a chance to play against the Prairie School to, earn a trip to the sectional final.
Let's finish off talking Division 5, and really where we have experiences in Sectional 4. So we're going to look at Sectional 4 of Division 5. Albany is going to take on Argyle. Argyle, we picked Catholic Central with the upset. Argyle won at 61-30. The Argyle team must be way different from the team I saw in the opening week of the season, because Catholic Central won that game, so I don't know exactly what's changed, but they did score 61 points on Catholic Central. They're the number 6 seed, so they're the number 6 playing number 1 Albany. they're going to have their hands full on that one. The bottom half of the bracket, coach, is, of course, our game, Randolph Oakfield. That is a 7 o'clock start at Hilbert. First of all, thoughts on Randolph's play last weekend? I mean, they did kind of what we expected they would do.
Yeah, I think they got better every game, and again, it's, they win two of the, games 2 and 3 by 20 points, but there's no question that, how they played against Sheboygan Lutheran, from an intensity standpoint, Jory Bawaldo was good for every spot on the floor in that game. But again, getting help from different players, having, people like, again, Maddie DeVries coming in and being in double figures all 3 of those games. Again, having different people, and now that, again, Abby Katzma hasn't shot it as well. You have other people stepping in, like Lauren Grieger making 3 threes, none bigger than the one she made right before halftime, that put them ahead 11 against, Sheboygan Lutheran. So again, I think a lot of things that Coach Kaufman was hoping to see against the, it was a great atmosphere on Saturday night, jam packed with both teams, student sections and everything. They step outside of a trailways, battle and back into it now again. And so, it'll be really interesting because they've played Oakfield once already in the crossover game, back on January 15th. They won 75-39. I think it is important to note, for Coach Heather Justman that Addie Moser did not play in that game.
Yeah.
And again, averaging 12.8 points a game. The other common opponents, Hustisford, that we saw that second round game that they won 60-40, Randolph did, that Oakfield beat them twice, once by 10 at Hustisford and once by 18 at Oakfield. So again, in the first time, shocker, Jory Bawaldo with 23 against Oakfield. Maddie DeVries, who, again, we've talked about, such another element of having another threat to score when they move Jory outside of her scoring inside. And, Abby Katzma saw the ball go in a couple more times, not necessarily from the 3-point line. But again, she had 4 threes in that first matchup. It was 37-20 at halftime. So again, a Randolph team that, again, I think one thing that is of concern is they've been able to play through Presley Bawalda getting in foul trouble 2 of the first 3 games. And again, I think that's a credit to, Maya Moldenhauer as well as Abby Katzma of the job defensively, especially in the pass game against Addie Van Gurden.
And I think the wild card for this game is, and you mentioned it already, is Abby Katzma. I think, I believe that she kind of breaks out of this and hits a couple open threes early, and then just starts kind of running downhill. I think she's just due for that, and I think that's going to happen. And if that does happen, I think Randolph is going to be just fine against Oakfield. But I'd like to see her get involved early, have confidence in that shot, take that shot, let it fly, let it drop in, and just grow from that. So we'll be looking forward to that. Also, we'll have Abby mic'd up in pregame prior to the game. So our third senior for the third game will be mic'd up pregame on W7 this Thursday. One last quick break and come back with parting words and final thoughts, and get ready for Thursday night. You're watching Road to the RESCH on W7. We'll be right back.
Jolly Good Soda. We put the pop in Wisconsin.
Welcome back, Road to the RESCH. Thursday night, 80 teams left. We'll be down to 40 after Thursday, and then back on Saturday for sectional finals. A big week of basketball on W7. 3 games for sure Thursday night, and at least 3, and probably more, like 5 or 6 on Saturday. We're still working out the details on that, so stay tuned for that. But let's kind of go to our experts here and kind of give their final thoughts. Coach Rowie, we'll start with you. Parting words and any upsets that you're looking at that could take place here Thursday night.
Well, first thing I'd say is if anybody watching is a senior, and there's going to be plenty of them, make sure you just take a deep breath and look around the gym on Thursday, because it could be your last game, or even if you win, just look around, enjoy that atmosphere. It's something that once it's gone and it's over, you don't get that back. You just don't get that atmosphere back. Talking off camera, who are we going to come up with upsets? These teams are so close. I mean, it'd be fun to say, hey, DS, you're going to do it again. It's going to be tough for DS. Sorry, Coach Hendricks. You know what? I'll take Franklin to upset Oak Creek. I just think we've talked about it. It's been touched by Connor, talked about it. Coach Sip talked about it. Beating a team 3 times is challenging. And this one, just, again, I said it before, it feels different. So I'll go with Franklin.
Valentina, you hear that? Shehu's going to come get you, Coach. Watch out.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Sip, your thoughts?
Well, I'm going to follow that trend with hard to beat a team 3 times. And again, when you've beaten a team handily twice, I just feel like, again, and this is no pick against, it is a pick against Pewaukee, but I think New Berlin Eisenhower, if they can get, with Ava Meyer back, again, I think that first game, again, they weren't at playing their best. Obviously, the second game, credit Pewaukee, but I'm going to take New Berlin Eisenhower in the upset over Pewaukee.
Ed, see that when you swing
Green
big.
Yeah, sure did.
That's a big swing. We'll see if it makes contact.
But yeah, it's going to be a great night of basketball. That's for sure.
It will. Enjoy the games. Looking forward to catching up. Road to the Rush will be back on Friday night to talk sectional finals and get you ready for the final road to state. The final leg of the journey will be Saturday night. So Thursday night, all games live, all games free. ProductionsW7.com. Check it out on YouTube, youtube.com/W7 Productions for all of the games. Also check our social media. Be sure to follow Jolly Good Soda. Big thanks to them, as always, for their support of W7. Also, a big thanks to the Walbeck Group, the Hupke team, as well as JVB Financial Advisor. We appreciate all your guys' support this postseason. It's been a fun one, and we're not done yet. We got more to do. So, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow live from all the games. We'll see you then. Have a great rest of your night.